I call you faithful. Oh Jesus, our God is faithful. You do many things in your name. Elohim is the name. Adonai is the name. Elohim is the name. Adonai is the name. You do many things in your name. Faithful God,
I call you faithful.
oh, you do many things in your name. Thank you, Jesus.
I call you faithful.
You do many things in your name.
I call you faithful.
Faithful God. Elohim is the name. Elohim. Adonai is the name. Elohim is your name.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
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 Certainly the best.
ITV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Amendment Bill signed it into law establishing the legal framework for the 2027 general election. Hello and welcome. This is This Morning on ITV and I'm your host, Anuluwakpo Stevens, right here in Benin, Edo State, Nigeria. And I've also got my colleague right here with me, Harry. Harry, good morning.
Good morning,
welcome on board.
Thank you for having me, Anu. Always a pleasure doing this with you.
Of course. And during the course of the show, we'll have our colleague in Lagos and Abuja join us to give us a brief of what we would be expecting from them today. But over to you, Harry. A lot of things have been going on in the political landscape in Nigeria, especially as we move towards the 2027 general election. Last week, we saw INEC come out with a new timetable, and that actually shaped the conversation in the political terrain in Nigeria as regards how visible it is, if it's going to be switched or rejigged, and the conversation regarding the religious angle that we are strongly and firmly holding on to in Nigeria with Ramadan and just yesterday the Lenten season and the Ramadan season started. And then there are those who actually did say, you know what, INEC chairman, you have to move this to accommodate all of this because no one will want to go to the polls whilst fasting, right? And a particular clergyman did state, let me quickly get that. Yeah, this clergyman did state that elections during fasting deters fraud. So he's of the opinion that, hey, you know what, let's have the election either ways, because when you have election during the religious period, it's going to prevent people from doing illegalities, from rigging and maybe buying of votes and, you know, all of that stuff. What do you make out of it? Do you think he is speaking in the right direction?
Well, first I would like to address the first concern, and I think that's pretty valid, okay, because nobody goes to the polls with a hungry stomach. Right? Of course, we know what fasting is. Fasting is beyond the dedication part, beyond the consecration part.
Right.
There's also the part where you have to go without food. So imagine going to the polls without food in your stomach. Now, having said that,
No, but persons who work, I mean, you could be fasting and working right here. It doesn't stop you from doing what you ought to do, basically.
well, being in the polls is a different ballgame entirely because you're going to be there for long hours most of the time. We know what happens in the polls, especially for those, who have voted in the past.
Right.
Okay, it's a whole lot, all right? And when you're working, your mind is somewhere. But a lot of times when you're at the polls, you're just waiting endlessly until you get a chance to vote. But like I said, that's by the wayside. Now, let me address the hilarious part, which is what the cleric said about the fasting season being a deterrent to fraud.
Right.
For me, it's pretty laughable because I don't think people change just because they are fasting. For example, most of the vices that are perpetrated in the society are done by religious people, all right? Most people who do some of these things, people who steal ballot boxes and all of these things, they are, either Christians, Muslims, or, traditional worshippers. So for me, I don't think just because it's Ramadan or the Lenten season or whatever it is, someone will, decide not to do what they're used to doing. So for me, it's really laughable.
It's really laughable. Okay, but just as this man did say, don't you think having the election done during that period is going to perhaps reduce it? Because a lot of persons would say that Nigerians are truly, truly religious, and there are some persons who are religious to the core who would just, because it's that period of time in the year or in the season in the calendar, they would tend to move away or drift away from some certain things and not just to do them the way it ought to be. Maybe it's going to reduce how criminality and fraud during election would operate.
Well, even if that does happen, it will be hypocritical on their part because it pretty much brings to mind what some persons do, especially during special days of the week, especially Sundays, for instance.
Right.
Just because it's Sunday, you decide not to do certain things because it's a day of worship. And then for the rest of the week, you are your usual self. If you're the type that's, given to stealing, for instance, or lying, you lie from Monday till Saturday. But Sunday is a special day because it's a day, of worship. So for me, that's hypocrisy. It means that you're really not being yourself. Now, for me, I think we need to look beyond the special season, which is the fasting season, right? I think we really need to look inwards and make a real change, all right, in our behavior. Let's not say because it's fasting season, or let's do the right thing because it's fasting season, and then after the season, we're back to our usual selves. So if we are really going to be thinking of or looking in the direction of changing our society, then we have to look beyond fasting.
Absolutely, a lot of things to talk about. And another major thing that also did catch a lot of people's attention over the course of the past few days has been all of the activities and the controversy surrounding the Electoral Act Amendment Bill that has been signed into law just yesterday. That's going to form the basis of our conversation this morning on the show. I'd love you to run us through all of it and what you really make out of everything that's happened so far with the protest, the counter-protest, the bit of shenanigans and the drama that we saw amongst our supposed leadership. The Senate President during one plenary session did call Abarimbe, Ayinaya Abarimbe, a social media Senate. That's what he called them. Me trying to say it exactly the way he did. And a lot of persons, did spark reactions to that. And then there was also another clip that got people reaction when Tajuddin Abbas was having the highs, average, and the nay. And obviously, categorically, the nay was higher than the ayes. But eventually, it went through the ayes. And that got a lot of people talking online. It's been an hilarious one thus far, especially in the political scene. You want to react to this very quickly? Well,
a whole lot has happened, from when the House of Representatives first, approved a section, or should I say a version of the Electoral Act. And of course, just recently, the Senate rejected it, okay? And in all of this, of course, we know that the most controversial part is the Clause 60 part that mandates, that mandates electronic transmission of results. Now, that has been generating lots of controversies lately. A lot of persons have been, asking questions as regards what would eventually pan out if that flies, okay? Now, in all of this, it is said that just yesterday, the president has signed the bill into law. Now, the big question now is what are the implications? Does this mean that the clause, the controversial clause that is still a subject of debate, does not has not been given adequate attention, because Nigerians are still skeptical about that part? Does it mean that the president doesn't care about how Nigerians feel? Because I think so far the conclusion is that that particular clause is still optional, right? Initially, it was said that okay, there has to be an electronic transmission of results, but right now, what we are seeing is that there's a controversy, right? It's optional. Where internet fails, we can revert to manual, okay? But a lot of Nigerians are not having it. And in the midst of all of these disagreements, the president signs it into law. So does that mean that the president doesn't quite care how Nigerians feel? These are questions begging for answers.
Well, let's not forget, at the end of the day, it's more or less like him having the final say. Yesterday, listening to him speak verbatim, of course, we'll have that clip played on the show where he did talk about the broad bandwidth stuff that gets to affect sometimes. And then at the end of the day, there's the clause that says, if the electronic transmission of results that's transmitting it to the IRF doesn't work, you move over to the manual one. Now, will this Electoral Acts Amendment Bill 2026 that has been signed into law, is it going to block the lacunas? Is it going to prevent electioneering irregularities that we get to see? And would it uphold the credibility of elections in Nigeria? Are Nigerians satisfied? There are those who would say that yesterday was a sad day for Nigerians, especially with everything that's rigmaroled so far with the controversies that we've seen online and offline. Well, all of this and more would form the basis of our conversation this morning on the show right here in Benin, Edo State, Nigeria. We'll quickly take a short break, and when we return, we'll move over to look at a couple of national dailies this morning. Please join us again. Welcome back. Now let's connect with our colleagues right there in Lagos and Abuja to have a feel of the conversation from their end this morning. Good morning, Charity Tanko and Marcelina Ukwa. Good to see you as always. Okay, let me begin with you, Charity. Kindly give us a feel of what we'll be expecting from your end this morning. Please go ahead.
And good morning. Basically, discussing signing of bill into law by President Bola Tinubu. It was signed yesterday. So this is what we will be discussing from the Abuja Network Center. Thank you.
Okay. Moving over to you, Patricia Gabriels. Kindly let us in on what's on your plate this morning. Patricia, if you can hear me, please go ahead. Okay, so hopefully we'll get to connect with Patricia and Charity Tanko during the course of the show. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll move over to the national dailies. Please stay with us.
Igbinijo Education Center.
some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Thank you so much for staying with us. If you're just joining, you're on to This Morning on ITV. Now we'll take a look at a couple of national dailies this morning. And doing justice to this, we'll have our newspaper review analyst, Suprilla Maybrain, joined from Lagos State, Nigeria this morning. Good morning, Suprilla. Good to see you. And should I say a Happy New Year?
Yeah, good morning. Happy New Year. Nice to join you.
Of course. Now let's quickly kickstart with the Punch newspaper. If we could have that this morning. We have the leadership newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, The Guardian, and a whole lot more. Now we quickly start with the Guardian newspaper. And the main headline on The Guardian today says, 2027 credibility, a battle shifts to INEC as Tinubu signs amended Electoral Act. On page 6, you get details of that. But interestingly, on the front page of The Guardian newspaper, there's a pictorial description of everything as regards the Electoral Bill 2026, the comprehensive public guide. Well, away from that story, FCT polls, INEC pledges e-transmission of results. Interesting. On page 30, more details on that. Mixed reactions, process trail Delta APC World Congresses on page 29. Jenkos rejects NLC's extortion claims, says sector battle. 6 trillion naira on paid bills on page 5. Tinubu orders NNPC to remit oil revenue to FAC as rig count stagnates on page 3. Telecoms, that's telecommunication, rejects objection to e-results transmission, insists on national coverage on page 6. Well, interesting headlines still ahead on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Holy month, Tinubu Obi urges spiritual reflection, commitment to shared humanity. Representatives fault poor funding of security intelligence on page 3. And finally, on The Guardian today, IPAC, Obi, flare police calm down, tear gas of protesters at the National Assembly. Suprilla, there's so many headlines this morning on The Guardian newspaper, but I would love to have your view as regards the 2027 credibility battle shifts to INEC. Of course, yesterday we saw that the president finally has signed the Electoral Act 2026 bill into law. You want to take it from there?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that we're having this conversation at this particular point in time. The issue of transmission of results, electronic transmission of results is now an issue. And that's because of what citizens, the experiences of citizens in the last election and last poll, where results were not transmitted, and situations where results were transmitted, what was on the election result viewing portal, the IREV, was drastically different from what was being announced. In fact, we saw the miraculous happenings in places like Rivers State, where results from Sokoto somehow find its way to the IREV viewing portal in Rivers State, and and reports by leaked documents by some leaked intelligence reports by the CIA that the BVAS bimodal voter identification system was already compromised before the election and the rest of that. So, it is not far-fetched that people are clamoring for total electronic transmission of results, and particularly which is clause 60. But beyond clause 60, there are other parts of this electoral amendment, repeal and reenactment that was passed. The issue of election funding timetable is also there, where when election funds must be released to INEC at least 6 months before the general election. Previously, it used to be 12 months before the general election, but now it's been reduced to 6 months, which means it gives INEC shorter time for preparation. Accepted ID for voter registration. Now we have birth certificate, Nigerian passport, and NIN as accepted identification. I don't know if it's going to be a merger or if there's going to be a biometric system that makes sure that if one has registered with the other, the person cannot come back again and use another. Maybe if I've used my NIN, I cannot come back and use my my birth certificate and the rest of that. So we are looking at that one at least. Let's just say that will make it a little bit inclusive if we are able to streamline it. But then the issue of downloadable voters card, which is also inclusive. Then you go talk about the issue of timeline for submission of candidate lists. Now, before political parties used to have 160 days. Now, under the new Electoral Act, they will have 120 days, which is a compression of the timeline for the submission of candidates, and which may affect internal party preparations. Then you have the issue of publication of candidates lists. It used to be 60 days. It is now 60 days. It used to be 150 days, which I find problematic because it gives the political parties little time to sort of put their house together, maybe issues of litigation and the rest of that. Some might say it's because the ruling party tends to use the courts through proxies to kick out certain candidates, 60 days before the time. So the parties are thrown into confusion. I mean, it's just speculation. But when we see things have happened in the Labour Party, things that happen in the SDP, and now even factions that are popping up in the ADC. Recently, the presidential candidate of the ADC, Rotimi Amechi, made allegations that the National Security Advisor's Office is trying to advance a sort of divisive posture within the ADC. But the most important part of it that I find troubling is the mode of party primaries, which direct primaries and consensus is now the only mode of primaries, and indirect primaries has been eliminated. Now, one might seem to look at it as the fact that it will reduce money politics in the party processes, but I beg to differ because I see it as an overreach from the legislature. Parties should be allowed to sort of advance whatever mode of primaries they choose, because it's a political association. I find it, and I feel like that part of it, together with the issue of electronic transmission of results, should be challenged in courts.
Okay, so Perla, so many things to unravel at this point, but we'll quickly move over to another major headline today.
All right, so Perla, let's take a look at the next paper, which is the First Daily. Okay, on the First Daily, the major headline here says, President Tinubu signs Electoral Act 2026 amendment into law amid controversy. President Tinubu signs Electoral Act 2026 amendment into law amid controversy. Okay, and then the first rider there says, opposition kicks. And then another rider to that says, ex-INEC commissioner warns of chaos. Okay, that's on the First Daily. And then this one says, Gabon blocks Facebook, TikTok over hate speech fears. Gabon blocks Facebook, TikTok over hate speech fears. And then I'm still on the First Daily. Vote Tinubu, get Nnamdi Kanu freed. And that's coming from socialite Cubana Chief Priest, as he tells Southeast. Vote Tinubu and get Nnamdi Kanu freed. Cubana Chief Priest tells Southeast. Do you think that's the solution to the problem? Do you think a vote for Tinubu by the Southeast would get Nnamdi Kanu freed? Okay, now still on First Daily newspaper, NITCOM moves to repatriate diaspora doctors to boost healthcare. NITCOM moves to repatriate diaspora doctors to boost healthcare. And then this other one says, Ondo APC Congress turns deadly, 2 feared killed. That's on a rather tragic note. Ondo APC Congress turns deadly, 2 feared killed. And then there's this other one that says, Obi urges Nigerians to vote out current government. Okay, Obi urges Nigerians to vote out current government. FCT poll results won't be transmitted in real time, and that's coming from INEC. FCT polls results won't be transmitted in real time. INEC clarifies. Okay, still talking about the signing of the Electoral Act amendment into law amid controversy by the president. What do you think this implies? What do you think is the implication of this as we move towards 2027?
You see, already the electoral process is already being called into question, which should concern any right-thinking Nigerian. Even the president who assented to that bill yesterday should be concerned about that. Because you see, one of the things that upholds an electoral process is the integrity or the perceived integrity of the whole procedure or the whole process. Now you have a huge chunk of the population or a substantial chunk of the population calling into question the procedure and the processes, that has been that's culminated into the signage of this bill. It then begs the question: to what end? How would the election results be viewed by the citizens, by the electorate? That is the major question. Because at the end of the day, we'll find out that the credibility of the polls has already been called into question before the election. Then the outcome of the polls will be something that will be contested, heavily contested. And then that, hinges on the legitimacy of the government, So these are issues, these are very pertinent questions and issues that, that the government, those in power, especially the legislature, and even the judiciary should sort of give recourse to.
All right, Chiprela, let's leave the conversation here as regards to that, because that's going to form our basis for our main conversation this morning. As we tend to move over to the New Telegraph newspaper, still leading with the major talking point today, ahead 2027 polls. Kudos knocks as Tinubu signs amended electoral bill into law. You get more details of that on page 3, 5, and 6 on New Telegraph this morning. Well, moving away from that, Power Generation Nigeria faces more risk over unpaid 6 trillion naira invoices. Still on the front page of the New Telegraph, federal government suspends payment of 30% on profit to NNPCL. On page 7, you get details of that story. In education, UTME, JAM insists no extension for February 26 deadline, says as registration hits 1.5 million. Oh, that's a lot. Well, away from that, delay in release of funds undermining justice reforms. AGF has that to say on page 4. FCT poll, INEC accredits 89 observers, 72 media organizations on page 3. NSA demands adequate fund for enhanced national security. That's Nuhu Ribadu. And finally, on the front page of the New Telegraph this morning, Lent Ramadan starting same day shows both faith shares lots in common. Who was speaking? Our president. Subwriter says move beyond policies to real action. Can tells leaders on Ash Wednesday. Fasting coincidence, rare spiritual convergence. Obi has that to say. Abbas governors APC, others great Christians, Muslims. On page 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 28 to get details of that. But real quickly, Chiprela, which of the stories did get your attention?
Well, the issue of from policy to results by CAN. It's a very essential point CAN is trying to make, Christian Association of Nigeria is trying to make. But I think it's an essential point that every Nigerian, every right-thinking Nigerian and political observer has been talking about. We found out this week during budget defense at the National Assembly that a lot of ministers, heads of department, agencies of government do not have funding for their budgets. In fact, look at the health sector. Look at a lot of ministries and departments and agencies of government have less than even 10% of what was budgeted in the 2025 budget being released to them. This is a country that we ran 3 multiple budgets, 3 to 4 multiple budgets, 2 supplementary budgets, and 2 concurrent budgets running along. And then we have the government telling us that, oh, they've cut spending, they've saved money from various policies, removal of fuel subsidy, the Naira, and the rest of that. The Naira, everything has now, they said they've cut down a lot of spending and a lot of leakages and the rest of that. But what we now ask ourselves, where are these funds? Where is the funds? Where are these funds? Is it being plowed back into the system? Because ministries, departments, and agencies advance the policies, execute the policies of government. And if those ministries are telling you that, look, we don't have funding, we never got funding, we're getting less than 10%, less than 5% of our budgeted allocation, then it should give everybody cause for concern. Then we should ask the question, where exactly is the money that has been saved? Where exactly is the money that has been saved from the various policies that has been, outlined and advanced and executed in terms of monetary reforms, fiscal reforms, in terms of the removal of PMS and the rest of that? These are very pertinent questions that every Nigerian should ask. Where are the funds? And that's why we need to move from this policy to, to real effect of these policies. Because if you don't plow back those monies, then obviously hardship is going to be the order of the day for citizens. Citizens would have to growl to be able to eat, and the effect will be telling on ordinary Nigerians and even the country and the planet.
All right, thank you so much, Soprala. Let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper, and then of course the major headline here is also leading with what's trending. Tinubu, why I signed electoral reform bill into law. Tinubu, why I signed electoral reform bill into law. That's something you'll find on page 4. And the writer there says it's missed opportunity for reform, says Yaga Africa. It's a missed opportunity for reform, says Yaga Africa. And then another writer there says FCT Minister Wike hails presidential assent to bill. Now, is this genuine or he's just trying to play lip service? Well, I guess we'll leave that for you to answer. FCT Minister Wike hails presidential assent to bill. Okay, still on Leadership newspaper this morning, above the masthead, Ramadan, Jigawa, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara reduce working hours. Ramadan, Jigawa, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara reduce working hours, and you find that still on page 4. And then on a rather tragic note, this one here says 37 die from gas inhalation at Plateau mining site. 37 die from gas inhalation at Plateau mining site. And you find that on page 7 of Leadership newspaper this morning. Institution failures may endanger FDI Townley, and that's coming from Johnson to the federal government. Institutional failures may endanger FDI Townley. Johnson warns federal government. You find that on page 4 of Leadership newspaper. And then right below that, you find another one that says, after shareholders' approval, Unity Polaris Banks conclude merger. After shareholders' approval, Unity Polaris Banks conclude merger. You find that still on page 24. And then still on the Leadership newspaper this morning, El Rufai rearrested after EFCC release. Now that's a rather interesting one. I don't know if you would like to respond to that, Soprala. What's your take on that? El Rufai rearrested after EFCC release. What do you think this is about? Is it is there some political undertone to this, or there's something else that we just might not know about?
Well, from last night we found out that the DSS certificate custody now is Muyiwa, the spokesperson this morning is talking about. They released a statement that is in the custody of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. That's the ICPC. The truth is, that I have no problem against institutions trying to investigate public officials, those who have left office who are no longer covered by immunity. Honestly, I have no problem with that. But when those investigations are being seen as vendetta and selective, are being selective, is exactly where I have problem, or what I have problem with. We can see that a lot of people that are aligned to this government, to the current administration, the government at the center, are being overlooked or being treated with kid gloves. We were here when our next governor walked to the EFCC and was not arrested. Yet the EFCC chairman had swore on national television that he was going to resign if he had not gotten that man arrested. Then this same person goes about campaigning for the president even before campaigns were legally allowed to start, and the rest of that. So it's quite unfortunate when we see double standards. The same thing with Malami's case. It's quite unfortunate when we see double standards. I'm not saying by all means do your investigation. By all means, let the institutions work, right? He walked into the EFCC on Monday on his birthday. So, I mean, I'm sure we are aware that the ICPC has been investigating his associates like Malam Jafar Sani and the rest of that. So obviously he knows and is in communication with them that the ICPC, wants to investigate and the rest of that. But beyond that, the optics looks terrible for this administration. It seems as though these institutions are being bent and are being coerced to advance the political interest of this administration and of the president, the re-election of the president. So again, I'm not against institutions working, but they should be fair to people. Justice should not just be done, but should be seen to be done.
Absolutely. So Prelat Membrane, Public Affairs Analyst, we really need to leave the conversation here at this time, but we must thank you so much for finding out time to join us this morning. We'll do this again another time, God willing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Of course, always an unending drama, Harry, if you
Absolutely.
ask me, especially with the case as regards El-Rufai being rearrested.
Yeah.
Just took me down memory lane to 2023, 2022 during the election period. I cannot and will not forget that dance he had with President Bola Tinubu there in London.
When the going was smooth.
When they were doing the
when it was all
and right
music.
now we're seeing this play out. It's really hilarious. But then at the end of the day, they'll say in politics there are no permanent friends or permanent enemies. So
even interest. Some people will say only permanent interest, but even interests are not permanent either. I mean, it's all about what you want per time. What you want today might not be what you want tomorrow. And it also brings to mind that what a prominent APC bigwig said, that once you cross over two, you understand? I mean, the infamous quote by him. And it actually says a lot about our polity as a people. You see, it's not people-centered. People they don't care about the people. It's all about what they want. And at any point in time when it seems like the tide is not moving in their favor, they jump ship.
Of course, remember having a conversation yesterday with Bode George, and he did say to the current administration to be careful with whatever activities that's playing out right now with El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai, the former Kaduna State Governor. Anyway, we'll look forward to more of this, and we'll keep you up to speed regarding it. We'll quickly take a short break. When we return, we'll move over to our main conversation this morning. As regards the president signing into law the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, what does this mean for Nigerians? Would this be able to block the lacuna for the 2027 general election? Are we going to see free, fair, and credible election come 2027? All of this and more right after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we are saying is ITV, certainly the best.
In the evening of the initiation day, all the newly initiated Edion danced to the residents of the Odion Way and also visited some homes of the various senior elders, where Chief Elder Ogbedo Onwonse was very conspicuous, especially at the country home of Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osaro Igbenedion with his family on the night of the initiation. On the following morning, as part of the rite to be performed by the newly initiated Edion in Okada town, the initiates, led by Chief Elder Ogbedo Onwonse, visited the Esama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osaro Igbenedion, at his Okada country home residence to pay homage and appreciate him for all he has done in the development of the community, which has placed Okada in world map. They also thanked him for his role in the success of their ceremony. They commended the Esama of Benin as a custodian of Benin cultural heritage and for revitalizing the age-long tradition of the age-grade ceremony.
President Bola Tinubu has signed into law the Electoral Act 2026 Amended Bill. The development follows the passage of the legislation by the National Assembly on Tuesday after months of debates, review, and amendment by both chambers. The signing ceremony took place at the State House around 5 p.m. yesterday, with top National Assembly leaders present at the event. Now, speaking shortly after signing the bill into law, Tinubu commended the National Assembly for the solid brainstorming discussions aimed at strengthening national development and safeguarding democratic stability. Tinubu noted that confidence in the system must be rebuilt, arguing that no electoral framework, however, technologically advanced can function without human integrity. Good morning, welcome on board again. Our main conversation this morning is as regards to President Tinubu signing into law the 2026 Amendment Bill. Now, joining us to discuss all of this and more and look at it critically, I have Professor Cyril Otaikina. He is the researcher and lecturer at Novena University, Delta State, Nigeria. Good morning. Welcome on board. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
Of course. Were you shocked by the move from the president yesterday? Did this come as a surprise to you, or you expected it?
No, I wasn't shocked. I can never be shocked because I've been expecting it from a president that is set to make a difference. I wasn't shocked at all.
Now, when you say make a difference, what do you mean make a difference? Make a difference in what angle, in what end? Please go ahead.
Yes, as a researcher, I'm going to base my answers on references. You remember Oshomole against Edo and INEC election? And they decided to use forensic analysts. And they were able to discover findings. And a name was mentioned 3 times, having voted 3 times. So you look at advanced process. That's science of advanced process. So for the first time, we are saying we are shifting away from something that is not giving us what is supposed to be in terms of the principles on which it was developed. Let's look at the Beavers machine. The first time Beavers machine was used, a lecturer from one of the universities in Benin, West Spring University, Dr. Matthew, called me and said, Prof, these Beavers machines are not working. And I said, okay, what you do, remove the cellophane paper on the face, because that Beavers machine is based on DNA principles. So the cellophane on the face of the Beavers machine has DNA base, and the person who is trying to use it has different DNA base. So there is clash of interest. So the machine will not function. And they removed it. And that was how Beavers machine problem was solved. So if you are bringing in a process, you are looking at electronic transmission of results. The first question we should ask ourselves, what is a result? What is a result? So if you are electronically transmitting results, I, as a geneticist, I will say you are wasting money, you are wasting funds. Because one, if you look at the reasons the president has given, he mentioned integrity of any person who is conducting the election, who is computing the results. So how will you, my sister, how will you convince me of the integrity of any person who is using this process that has been designed as electronic transmission of results? I was even thinking that as a country that has a lot of scientists, that has a lot of educational programs, has a lot of universities, that we should even be thinking of electronic voting, where as you are voting, somebody is watching the graph across the world, and the graph is rising. And once the vote is stopped, where we stop voting, it doesn't involve any person's result. You and I preparing something called a result and transmitting it in any form, taking pictures. Hope you know that even PDF these days are edited. So if science is not followed based on principles, then it is better to take the devil's alternative by scrapping it, which the president has just joined the National Assembly to do. So for the first time, I want to even congratulate the president and the National Assembly for the decision taking on the electronic transmission of results. There is nothing. There is of no effect to our results for now. Of no effect. I have declared it of no effect. And that is not ready transmission of anything yet.
We're still staying with the electronic transmission of results. There's been a debate surrounding it over time. We saw protest and counter-protest, even right there at the Senate, and also the Nigerian folks as well. One will wonder why flexibility was preferred rather than mandatory.
Yes, you know, even the Bible said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So when people don't have the knowledge, they act. And when they act, sometimes I'm not insulting because it's a word, I'm on live, I'm not insulting any person, but in quotes, when people lack knowledge, then they are bound to act stupid. So if you say, for example, we should continue to transmit results that somebody has prepared, does it make any sense? Does it make any sense? So for those who are protesting, a lot of them are protesting, one, because they lack knowledge of basic scientific principles. Then two, they just come out to protest because money has been given and there are certain money inside the pocket already. So when these things happen, people are bound to react. But people like me, you will never see me coming out to protest against decision of canceling electronic transmission of anything that has anything to do with Nigeria election. Because why? Because I have the knowledge. I understand the process. So for those who are protesting, a lot of them lack knowledge, and some of them even have the knowledge, but because of the influence of column notes, we keep aside truth. The Bible has said the truth will set us free. So when we stand by truth, it works. So for setting aside all these principles of electronic transmission is part of truth, and I will encourage everybody to adopt that part of truth.
All right, Prof. Thank you so much. You just said that the resistance that has trailed this the signing of the Electoral Act or the Electoral Bill, is born out of ignorance on the part of some persons. I think I would like to toe that line as well. But don't you think the part where you said that the reason some people are protesting against it is because they've taken money from some quarters? Don't you think that's a little bit of a stretch?
Are you not in Nigeria? Don't you know the basic truth? We are not safe because we run away from truth. And I'm somebody who always stand by part of truth. When I started addressing this morning, I made reference as a researcher to Shomole against Edo State and INEC. Go back to that influence and find out the findings of that from day one of that proceeding until the point they brought a forensic analyst. I told my wife, I did what is going to come out from this result because I'm a geneticist. I said, if they bring out a forensic analyst, you will see double voting and the result will be cancelled. I told her, and we started waiting. After months, that same result was cancelled based on the fact that a very respected person was voted 3 times. But the names were mentioned. Do you know why the names were mentioned? Because the person who was on that seat doing that analysis to provide references, to provide answers to the problem why that election cannot stand was on the part of truth. I had evidence. I had database. I'm not talking of Nigerian database. Forget it. Nigeria does not have any database. Not all those cut and nail data that you load and you start having problems here and there. Those are no database. But if you go back to that election and you ask Oshomole and whoever brought those forensic scientists, they will tell you that the basics was on the ground that they have information about that man. They were mentioning his name. They did not just mention the names. They were very emphatic and very direct because the correspondence or the correlation of the voters' cards or the voters' papers and the information database they had jammed, and the person's information popped up, and they saw it 3 times. And that was why they were direct to mention names. You don't just mention names. The word is scientific now. So we should be revolving around scientific principles that works. So if I am talking or saying anything here, let any person challenge me. I will give you references. And when you go and you find out knowledge, then you will be safe. you will be safe, and you will see it that there is nothing that is magic about election process. You and I go out on election day. Thank God that as a Nigerian, I go out to observe. And when we are observing, we see a lot of things happen. See, if we follow a definite electronic process of carrying out election, because there are even processes before voting. Voting and result is the end of an electoral process. I'm not a politician, I'm not a political scientist, but I know there are processes because I'm a genetics. So if you follow those processes rightly, then you arrive. We were talking of, I'll be asking people, what database does INEC have? Is it fine-tuned? Is it genetic? If it is genetic, then one voter cannot vote twice. It's not possible. It will show a red badge. When you come back and you put your hand again on that BVAS machine, it will show bar, which is cross red, which means there is duplication of genetic information. I am a genetics, and I've continued to mention it anytime I'm giving any standard point of reference. So if you do the process well, on the day of election, everybody, even you yourself, you'll just be watching graph rising, and the process will end, and the result will announce itself. So a case where you're asking somebody to now enter records, and you are snapping it with your photo, with your
Cyril, if you can hear me,
then you upload.
Right,
Wow.
so many things
Yes.
you said as regards your submission, but we'll quickly take a short break, and when we return, we'll move over to look at another angle of this conversation. Please stay with us.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. It's now time for us to have a balanced conversation, really. What's the Nigerian populace saying as regards to what happened yesterday? Because there are those who did say that it's a sad day for Nigerians, it's that yesterday. And we also have our guest joining virtually, Professor Cyril. But joining us right now in the studio, I have Comrade Solomon Idiogbe, a public affairs analyst, joins live this morning. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good
morning.
Of course, I know you have a lot of things to say as regards this, but what was that first reaction you got when you heard that President has finally signed the bill into law?
It wasn't the news. It wasn't. Nothing was breaking inside, because it was a game they were playing. They were playing the script of Mr. President. And yes, at least the world knows now that the Nigerian people are not comfortable with the electoral reform bill. So they should not say the reform, they did an electoral reform. All they just needed to do was to do something that will benefit them. What are they in the first instance? Whether a senator or a member of the House of Reps, you are a representative of the people. It's the People's Congress. You are a senator representing a senatorial district. You are a reps member representing a constituent. You understand? Which means you are supposed to speak the mind of your constituent. Right there. No, they go there and do what they wish. Now, let's assume that they didn't know the mind of their constituent. Now, the constituent came out in their numbers to say, you see that when I talk, not be so we send you now. But not done like this. And they insisted. So, what we used to know while we were growing up, and what they taught us in elementary government, is that power belongs to the people, that the leaders are servants, and the power of the office of the citizen is greater than the power of the office of any person or group of persons occupying public office. But what we saw was that these people already had an agenda, and they needed to pursue that agenda, and they followed it to the end. So Mr. President signing it was just icing the cake. The cake has already been baked. You understand? And he was just waiting. Because this is our story, don't too much. Make the man sign and make him get out there. It wasn't news. I wasn't surprised. Right. I was expecting it.
Are you by any means implying that all of these was orchestrated from the start and without cost to the feelings of the people?
You know, so they'll say I've been issue, be like say I've been no issue. You know, it's been there. Okay. It's a grand style. See, Nigeria on our own video. It's one drama each day. But tomorrow is another one. I think one is trending now. You know, they try to distract the people with the El-Rufai matter. The people refuse to be distracted. Now they bring another matter. It's one show every day. It's a series. You know, there are seasons and episodes.
Personally, and those who would call it agenda setting. But then again, whatever happened to the real-time clause that was originally passed by the House in December? Because I don't know if you listened to the president yesterday, after he did sign, he tried to rigmarole around all of the controversy so far, and where he did talk about the fact that we still have the broad bandwidth problem, and then he also did explain that during election, tried to explain the election process of how you would vote manually, how everything will be done manually, and it's only the fact that the result has to be transmitted to IREV electronically, and most times when we have cases of the networking, you don't have to do it manually. So it's more or less like everything being done manually, right, with just the help of the transmission and technical parts of it at one point. Now, what do you make out of everything that he has said so far?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't his business to explain. It was every segment has their role. It was a function of the legislator that I usually refer to as the legislators to explain and do that work.
The business legislators.
Yes, they are legislators. They are looting. It was the business of the president to sign and not to explain to us. It's not his business. It's assumed that the legislative arm had done their job and they had passed it to him, and then he, as the executive, he's stiffing it. So that's it. So it's, for me, he had no business explaining. It's like it's not the business of the judge, you know, to start going to arrest criminal. It is the business of the police and the security agencies to arrest criminal. It's the business of the judge to listen to the argument and nail it based on available evidence. So he is not his business to tell us that in INEC. It's not his business.
Okay,
so all of that goes to show that it was a grand style and it was a grand plan from the beginning. So they have succeeded because he is a dramatist personnel. He is, of course, he is a beneficiary of whatever would be the end result of that. You understand? What were you expecting from Mr. President? The same man who came on his inauguration and said, most of you did not want me here, but I am here already. What does that imply? It shows that he was not a popular candidate. It shows that Nigerians didn't choose him. It means that the Nigerian people didn't want him. But he has said, he's here anyway. And the first thing to do was to unleash hardship on the people. Now, subsidy is what the government uses in supporting the people. And he came and said, no, my government not going to support anybody. And that's why we are saying. So he's not supporting you. Don't think of any support.
So what you've said so far brings to mind the school of thought. Of course, there's a vast majority of Nigerians out there that believe that the president is a master strategist. So what impact do you think this is going to have on the 2027 election?
Same corrupt practice. Same way. Because now, let me tell you what it means. The clause of where there is no network, if it's not possible, use manual. It's an ambiguous clause because you are not the person to determine whether there was network or there's no network. It is the same man that you and I are busy complaining about, that they are not sincere, that they are not transparent. You understand that they are, in fact, there'll be black cellophane when they see it in the inside. Now, in the end, you are telling the man that when you cannot transmit, and you know that your system you are using now, you can deliberately create a glitch for the system not to work. For your system to work, is either you are using a direct SIM or you are using hotspots, a Wi-Fi. If you off your Wi-Fi, will it get network? If you off your SIM, yes, the phone is on or your device is on, and then you off your data transmission process, will it work? And then they'll tell you it's not working. And they are not expected to handle those equipment. It is them that will handle it. We have seen places where, and then you are giving them 7 days to review. How many times have I ever reviewed cases of coercion? Or being, and then you are, see, anybody expecting anything from this government is, unfortunately, politicians are the same. They're the same 6.5 a dozen. See the governor of this Southwest state crying now, that the pressure on him from the presidency is choking him. So waiting day. I have told people that you see governors decamp every day, not be the eye of oil. But can they turn to oil?
Right now, let's move over to our guest, still joining virtually from Delta State, Nigeria, Professor Cyril. Would you want to react to any of the things that have been said so far by Comrade Solomon? And I'll also love to ask you, with what played out yesterday, should Nigerians be expecting free, fair, and credible election come 2027? Professor Cyril, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
That question is large, but let me just quickly ask Comrade Solomon a question. Is Beavers, for example, is Beavers a voting machine? Beavers is not.
It's not a voting machine. It's just to create accurate figures.
Professor Cyril, please go ahead if you're there. Okay, so I think we're also experiencing our fair share of the technical glitch right now here, but we'll try and connect with him if we can during the course of the show. But back to you. You want to react to the question he asked?
Yes, he's asking if it's a voting machine.
Yes.
It's part of the equipment that have enhanced productivity in terms of election process in Nigeria. When you left everything to manual, what the Beavers does, it's not a voting machine, but it creates accountability. Everybody who is going to vote is accredited via that Beavers. It's a biometric machine that shows first that you are the original owner of the PVC that you are holding, and to count the number of persons, because for every polling unit there are a number of persons that are supposed to be there. So you are not expected to have overvoting. So if the Beavers is working, if you don't belong there, the Beavers will not. If you are in unit 2, you can come and vote in unit 3. You understand? So the Beavers have to regulate that. The voting, it's a different thing. When we are talking about electronic transmission, We're talking about real time. That's the word, real time.
Of course, which brings me back to my next question, the question I did ask him. Now, do you believe the 2027 general election would be free and fair if electronic results are not transmitted in real time?
I want a free, I want a fair. All of us, they say for my place, they say they know for where woman for born. They say me go carry waste, put for fire. Now waste time for take born.
What does that mean?
What it means is that we all know the fact about the issue of real-time electronic transmission. And when it's not there, the only reason INEC was able to manipulate, deceive Nigerians was because there was no real-time. Now, this is what real-time does for you. You are here. By real-time transmission, once there is a vote that is cast, being cast at Otokpo and is counted, all the agent signs, which of course you know the agents can be bought though, but while it is in the public glare, nothing really can happen at that time because the votes are counted to the public hearing. It is snapped and transmitted. So you here can know what is happening at Unit 1, Ward 1, Unit 1 of Otokpo.
Thanks to live transmission.
To that because it's real time. And you know what is happening in Orion or Ward 3, Unit 5.
Okay.
And technically, it makes all of us technically INEC representative. We can calculate the figures and know the number of votes that is coming out of Orion or from Uwode, and then we'll now begin to wait because we cannot announce results. So if there is any
glitch,
you cannot say no. This is not what we calculate, and what that also means is that you can get those transmitted because it's INEC certified. You can collect them and use them as your evidence. But now as we speak, if you are going to court against INEC, it is the same document. You are going to go meet INEC to stand for you. Okay. When INEC do not authenticate your document that you are taking to court, courts do not admit. They call it certified true copy. You understand? You thief my yam, I carry yam go police station. The same way you wait thief am, make you come talk say whether na the yam wey you thief be this. Not be me wey get yam go tell you say na my yam. So what real-time transmission would have done for us would have helped us to unravel some of the mysteries surrounding the issue of na so they take vote, na so the vote no count. They are telling you that, of course, party agents, they know the sign before. Now today party agents start to decide. I was observing an election where I discovered that the entire party agent had conspired to give votes to one political party, whereas the voters on their own had their own mind. There were people voting for party A, some were voting for party B. But while the whole thing was going on, you could see that there was this conspiracy among the party agents deciding, because there was already flow of cash, to give it. So when they are going to sign the result, of course everybody in a shareholder, they would have shared the sharing, just like the legislators will loot, the judiciary will share, and when after the executive
your continuous use of the term legislators is pretty hilarious. So are you saying in essence that in the light of all of this, there is no chance whatsoever of the 2027 elections being, free and fair?
If it was going to be free and fair, you think that Mr. President would hurriedly go and sign it yesterday? If there was anything that he felt would create tension for him in that electoral reform, I mean, you never hear when they carry bills to Mr. President, you say, I won't sign until you remove. If you forget, I'll remind you, Buhari did severally. Go and remove this clause. Go and remove this clause. We have been saying it. So if there was anything there that was not favorable to Mr. President, he would not have signed. So I keep saying, now the same game is the same thing. You know, say the difference between 6 and half a dozen. Not just semantics or not grammar. Because 6 and half a dozen are 6.
Of course. Now let's move over to our guest still joining virtually this morning. If we have Professor Cyril back, we'd love to have the conversation on with him, because I know he has a lot of things to say, especially as regards IREF and if the election is going to be free, fair, and credible. Professor Cyril, kindly go ahead, please, if you can.
Yes. I think the whole of this process just demands integrity. Though I have not been following up your discussion because there was network fluctuation. And these are part of the factors that affect or that can affect the process we are talking about. We are looking at a holistic process of conducting elections, is it not? Then now I cannot talk to you anymore for the past few minutes because the network has fluctuated. So if there's network fluctuation, then some of these machines we are talking about are affected. Then if you now go back to interest-based, because I've been hearing Comrade Solomon talking, most of his statements are based on personal interest. But we are looking at national interest, and it should supersede any personal interest. I am not indicting him, but I'm always threatening him because he's a public analyst. So he's supposed to work with the feelings and the pulse coming from the public. If you go, when you say public, not those induced public who has been giving some little things or sentiments and whatever. But we are looking at those who have that interest in mind to make this country straight. Then we will have a way forward. In case the network does not allow me go further, I want to congratulate again the President and the National Assembly for in a process for taking a decision that will show us a truthful pathway that we can lead or follow to now arrive at a credible election that will put. So the process matters. Election matters because it's the only process that brings in the leaders. So if the process is 40, then whoever leaders comes there will be 40 in terms of administration or anything the person is involving. I have to come out of my office now, and I'm outside because I have to seek network. There are processes and there are demands that must be met. So for the election process, forget everything about transmission. There's nothing like transmission. I have said this severally. When you snap something, you prepare a document. Then after preparing the document, you snap it and you send it. There is nothing electronic there. The electronic is that INEC will now receive the result without you traveling to where I am. Is that part of voting? That's not part of voting. When we are talking, we talk as scientists, and we are looking at issues, we look at them based on objectives that will favor us as Nigerians. We look at objectives that will favor our generations and children that we have given birth to, so that the country will be in safe hands and will have good results for whatever effort we are putting as individuals, or collective effort as institutions, or collective effort as organizations that will take this country to where we decide that we are pushing to. Okay, as given the president certain names, I am not defending the president. I was one of those who even campaigned against him at the earlier stage. But I've told you that on this issue of electoral reform, because we are talking of reform, moving away from a poor thinking process to an advanced process. I have congratulated him because he has moved away from that poor state of mind to a very developed and standard state of mind by accepting that provisions from the National Assembly. The National Assembly that has produced that bill, they are not all sick. No, they are not sick. They are not all of the same interest, but they are of the interest of the nation, so that we will have good results from elections in Nigeria.
All right, Professor Cyril. Just today on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we did see in the news that telecommunications rejects objection to e-result transmission, insist on national coverage. And it's interesting and also hilarious to see how you are also trying to corroborate your own stance with the network and how you had to come out from your house. But now moving over to the main question. Major opposition parties in Nigeria have had so many issues thus far. The Labour Party, the PDP, and the likes. Even the NNPP right there with Kwankwasia and the movement. And one will beg the question and ask, you know, whereas the APC has actually grown so far, the last time I checked, it has over 10 million registered members in the APC. So would there be any need to rig the election come 2027? Because there are feelers that seem the current administration is actually scared or actually have major concerns about the opposition parties in Nigeria. Please, your take on this.
Talking of opposition, everybody has interest. I've mentioned it before, but it should get to a point where everybody will drop their interest. PDP, after elections, I don't see any person who has won an election as a PDP person. No, you see the person as a leader that is now given that responsibility to determine how Nigeria moves. Why will telecommunication organization not reject or not accept the provision? They must accept it because they have the right knowledge. I am a university researcher, and I know what is different from wrong. So we are betraying the path of wrong, and we are now pushing towards the path of truth. So telecommunication organizations must accept it wholeheartedly because they are behind the principles of electronic transmission or whatever. Then for political parties, I'm not a politician. Everybody has their interests. I will look at some politicians as thieves. I call them thieves because they are so self-centered that whatever it is, they know the truth, but they will come out openly and tell you what is of their interest so that when they go back, they don't lose what they are supposed to benefit from their party system. If, for example, I'm a PDP person, I can come out to talk against PDP, and that is wrong. I am a university lecturer. I'm from Novena University. If there's anything wrong in Novena University, I think I stand right to say, management, this is a university, and this must be done like this, and this must be done like this, on the path of truth. So if you take the interest of your party because you want to defend your party, then you leave the truth and now come out to tell us. People like me fine-tune comments and information from people. I will just drop it aside and say this one is politically based. This one has party interest. But if you go neutral and seek people like us who don't belong to any political party and does not have any affiliation to any political party, we will tell you the truth. So if political parties are coming out to challenge a process that will lead us to truth, I am disappointed in any political party that will fight a system that calls it electronic transmission of result or electronic transmission of voting, where somebody, a man like myself, has to take a biro and a paper to write down how many votes has been scored by PDP and APC.
Of course, you can hear me. Thank you so much. Let me move back to Solomon in the studio. You want to react to him?
Oh, of course. It's laughable hearing people like him calling themselves neutral. It's obvious. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother asking him the political party he belongs. These sets of people, you know them because by their fruit, you shall know them. They are sycophantic. You see, this is the problem I have. You see, my elite, those who are supposedly enlightened, the scholars, I use the word supposedly. I was shocked, baffled when I heard Professor. Because talking about disappointment, I'm even more disappointed in him. Because almost all the rigging are done by what? Professors. See, with all due respect, that's not to say that there are no good ones. It's just like the police, there are bad ones, there are good ones. No, I'm focusing on the conversation.
Right.
For the record, let Professor Siri go and find out. I'm not a politician. I don't belong to any political party. I don't care whether you are PDP, you are APC. Like I said earlier, all politicians are the same. What Nigerians are interested in, the issue and the canvas, it's not about a political party. It's about addressing the political issues as it concerns electronic voting and the voting system in Nigeria. Now, you talked about voting is a process. Yes, it's a process. And this is part of the process of voting. Because with this new law, INEC will set their rules. Now, how do we have rigging? It starts from voting, transmission, or transportation. Whatever you do at your voting, at your polling unit, it's not yet rigging. Where rigging comes in, it's at the point of collation, whether at the unit, at the ward, or at the local government.
Which is part of the process he talked about.
He's not talking, he's just talking, he's talking rhetorics. He's interested in Tinubu. These are Tinubans. You see, the truth is this. Rigging happens when result is being transmitted. And if the transmission is not electronic, thank God he alluded to the fact that it helps you to save time from carrying it. Because you have seen cases when results are being transmitted, they are hijacked on the way. We know how many youth corpus you have lost to such scenarios. You understand? Now you don't need, if you like, come bring paper where say party B get 50 million votes. You have already transmitted this where everybody are seated. Now, this is what it does. You are talking, yes, I agree. There are technical glitches, it's everywhere. Don't you have timing for voting? There are also extension. So, if you get there and you can't transmit, he couldn't reach us within a minute, but he was able to move to an area where there was network and transmit. What they are saying is not that you must stand there and then do spot. Yeah, when you provided you do not leave the people, let us see that you are transmitted, because once you transmit it, you show us. We've seen it. So, and people will wait, even if it takes you from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. to get network to transmit. And let me tell you, every area has a specific network that works best. Some Airtel, with all due respect, so I don't start advertising for networks. There are different networks, you know, varies from network to network. So, point being made in all of this to give weights and stop rigging. This process of voting and transmission is what gives credibility to the election process. So when you are saying that, I was shocked when I heard a professor say transmission is nothing. I don't get. I think they read the book upside down. I think they professor.
Of course,
so sometimes when people talk like this, he said they should come and consult neutral. Who neutral? This one. Okay. In life, he cannot. He's not telling us that he's more public than those who went to the National Assembly. National Assembly was not ADC. National Assembly was not PDP. National Assembly was a conglomeration of civil society groups, political actors, interest groups, people who felt that enough is enough. Enough is enough. Nigeria was there. Young Africa was there. These are civil society right groups. Situation room. We're all there. So, point being made here is that we want a transparent.
Join us this morning from
officers in various polling units. The security agencies to be at alert. Because if I'm in a polling unit, the POS is working, and you tell me there is no network to transmit a result into the IRF, then it might be a recipe for chaos. So I pity electoral officers that would conduct this process in their various polling units. But if it happens to be in areas whereby they actually don't have network, then automatically manual transmission of result should go on. It's not everywhere in Nigeria. It's just pocket of flash areas. Maybe areas that have insecurity, maybe areas that have less development and so on. But we'll test INEC on Saturday. There's an area action that is conducted by INEC. We would see if there will be any need for manual transmission when we know that there's network virtually everywhere in Abuja. I don't know if there's network in the hinterlands of Abuja. I've gone to the 62 wards of Abuja, and I can tell you some areas you ask yourself if these persons are still in Nigeria.
FCT.
In Abuja. You have places like Kabimangoro, Yenche. You get to Gao not through FCT, but through Niger. But it's in FCT. So, possibilities that areas might not have ADIMOC.
Okay, so if I understand from your explanation, it is in the wisdom of the National Assembly. What the National Assembly did was to just provide an alternative should this fail. And it is also in the wisdom of the President to speedily sign it into law, which we are looking at. Okay, there could be areas that may not have network. But one would have thought that over the years that these particular challenges should have been taken care of.
Yes, first of all, you should understand that our network providers are not government agencies. They are
being regulated.
They are private
agencies.
sector driven. If I invest, let's say, 1 billion environment whereby there is insecurity and everybody has run away from that area, or few persons are remaining and fueling the marks and keeping network alive, might be a loss. It's a company. When they keep running minus, they might decide not to do much about it. That's one. There are situations in this country where areas, some marks are being destroyed by terrorists. If the company fixes it and it happens again, you know the company will be reluctant to keep fixing something in a place whereby somebody will destroy. Then there are situations whereby beyond our control, maybe natural disaster, wind, and so on. So we don't know what will happen on the day of election. So in case there is a glitch in network, what do we resort to? Definitely will resort to manual transmission. Manual transmission is not that bad. It's the character of the politicians.
Manual transmission is not bad. Manual transmission, as you call it, is not bad, as you say it is not bad. But we all know that the world is moving.
Yes.
The world has moved on.
Yes.
From analog to digital.
Thank God it's no longer INEC deciding on what form of process that they will use. Today, as it stands, it is INEC you would use electronic transfer. In a case, in an area whereby there is no network or there is a glitch.
And it is confirmed.
And it is confirmed because the agents are there of various political parties. Security agents are there. So if it doesn't work, what do they resort to? They will go through manual. Then the agents will follow the result from the polling unit to the collation center. You see, this thing works from the polling unit, the ward collection center, the local government collation center, and the state collation center, then the national collation, and that's how it moves. But in a situation whereby there is network, you will still get to the collation center. The only thing you do is just to snap and send.
Okay, there's also the matter of reduction of the timetable. You know, it was 360 days notice. Now it has been reduced to 300 days. And basically, because of the fact that leaving it at 360 affects the elections next Ramadan. A lot arguing in the National Assembly. That was one of the reasons given for delaying in their decision and recommitting the electoral bill to the committee of the whole, that they are taking into fact that at that particular period, the Ramadan period will be on, and also there will be Lenten period. Do you think it's a national improvement for a country to decide to tinker with election timetable because of fasting?
In my view, it is wrong for us to use religion to run government. Where is it? Election one day affair. You have 300 campaigns, notice for campaigns and so on. So for you to come and disrupt the process because of a one-day event, it's wrong. We have passed the stage whereby you come, and state at 12 p.m. to go and vote. No, now you come, you vote and you leave. Or you vote and you wait. It doesn't change anything.
In fact, at the last election, accreditation and voting.
No, that's what we are. You accredit and vote at the same time. So you take a rest if you're fasting. If you're having anything, you take a rest, then wait for time function. It won't affect anything. I don't see reasons why we always bring in religion in. You have 100 campaigns for your prawn. If you remove 30 days out of 100 days, you're just removing 10%. And it shouldn't affect 90%. Do well with the of your election. He has a critical during election.
Champion the area councils in the next 4 years. And with this development, do you see a situation whereby votes buying, ballot snatching, and general rigging will be reduced?
Well, I don't see a situation of ballot snatching. I don't see a situation of ballot stuffing.
How? How is that possible? Because we've had these incidences in the past.
Not in FCT.
There was in FCT.
FCT.
The last election in Buhari was there live. I saw it happen.
Hold on. See, I don't see a situation. See, it will not count. So, when you have issues in a polling unit today, sometimes any cancel that result and call for a rerun, a repeat of that election. Why sometimes, if such is a minor case, INEC just move ahead and announce
the result,
the winner. not that result will not be part of that election. So I don't see a situation whereby you see ballot stuffing, ballot snatching. It will be an effort in futility.
Why are you so optimistic?
On
knowing
this,
human beings.
No,
Why?
no, on this. Remember, people will vote.
Exactly.
Their vote will be counted at the polling unit and transmitted electronically. A result you don't transmit electronically after the process. They use that time.
But we have also other places now where there could be network glitches, where the form
I've not seen
8A will come into place.
I have not seen anywhere in Hamak, let me use Abuja Municipal Area Council, that would come up with the issue of network.
We're not talking about Hamak, we're talking about the entirety of...
Then I don't see places in Buhari that will also come with the issue of network. Even Gwagulada.
So
the places that might have such maybe pockets, maybe Kuje, Kwali,
Abaji.
And I don't even see it in Abaji. Abaji is the smallest area council. And most of the areas in Abaji, I think apart from Gauda, it is far, you have to cross a river, a very big river to get to Gau. Every other place is accessible, and every other place have network.
So we are running out of time. Before I let you go quickly, I want you to talk to the electorate as they prepare to vote on Saturday. And also, as an APC chieftain, what are the chances of APC in the council election?
Well, first of all, I urge every resident in the FCT to come out and vote. First of all, vote for your conscience. Secondly, our party in FCT has performed through the leadership of the president via the minister on making everywhere accessible to residents of the FCT.
Say that. Don't let them hear you say everywhere accessible. Don't let them hear you.
We have good routes, virtually good routes in all the major areas in FCT. Then I urge my party to also do more. Today, you can look at Buhari. The PDP have voluntarily down the APC card.
You know, that's another discussion. That's a discussion for another day. Because when you talk about PDP, we do not have PDP. What I think, let me tell you what Nigerians are saying. What Nigerians are saying is that the PDP that we have now is a unit under APC.
Well,
so
in the
eyes, if you're a unit under
in the eyes of
party,
the law,
you cannot have two candidates.
In the eyes of the law, PDP is still PDP. Is still APC. So that is success for Buhari. I see APC winning me of the area council because APC evolution started late, very, very late, and they have done their to the best of their own.
They're busy settling things, court issues and all.
So, but I don't see them clinching most of this area council. I don't see them doing that.
Thank you very much, Comrade Sam Eke. It's always been a pleasure having you on the program. Well, FCT residents, you've had it all. Come Saturday, go out and vote your conscience. Remember, vote your conscience. Be intimidated, but most especially remain safe. And after you finish voting, go home and rest. On this note, I will be handing over to our Lagos Network Center, Patricia, stand by to continue. We stop.
This is an Egbete community situated in Isako Central Local Government Area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age was the main determinant of leadership in the rural setting, and the eldest man in the settlement was regarded as the leader who presided over meetings, and his authority is held in high esteem. To further strengthen this unique system of leadership, age group evolved in Anegbete. In Anegbete, age group is categorized into two, that is, the common and the noble. Anegbete is rich in cultural heritage, as the community at noon saw the commitment of the festival with the first set rolled out in beauty colors to showcase their might and strength, indicating their feet and ready for the responsibilities behold on them. The streets in the community with a feed up of young men and women adorned with the festival. Later, the royal family takes
Hello, welcome back. Ladies and of matrimony. Thursday morning, a beautiful Thursday morning in the studio. It's an amazing day, and the week has been filled with poll in the country. If I may, call it that. We have been having forth and back from all our political politicians in the country. From the end of the bill to the issues of El-Rufai and to the insecurity in Nigeria. But anyway, for morning we will be El-Rufai getting the surrounding eyes, tapping of the telephone, every other thing going on around El-Rufai. And this morning I'm not going to be sitting or doing this alone in the studio. As usual, I have Mr. Tony White-J. Mr. Tony White-J is a political analyst. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Pat, and good morning, Nigeria.
You look so handsome this morning, even issues happening.
We'll still live.
We'll still live, we don't have a choice. Yes, we don't have a choice. We'll still live and look that everything that good to like to some in there. It's still happening.
Still happening.
It's still happening to Nigeria. So let's just go straight to, let's find out what exactly is El-Rufai's debacle and why is it generating so much national attention.
El-Rufai was expected to be made a powerful minister after Tinubu's victory. After he won the election, there's speculation that he was even supposed to be given a big role, like a super minister. And then when his name got to the Senate, he prepared, he got there. He was informed that due to some security checks carried out on him, that will not sail anymore. He will not be made a minister again. From that day onward, the battle line was drawn. He had high hopes because during the election, the campaign, he was with the president, he traveled with the president, they vibed to Buga dance, they did a whole lot. At Chatham House, at a point, when they were, the president, delegated him to answer to one of the questions posed, thrown at him. So they were quite close. And then at the function, so I remember the president begging him that he must work with him.
Yeah.
That if he doesn't accept, he will not go back to his seat. I remember that. So, and then suddenly, that shock is enough to trigger him to a lot of things. With, most especially if there are no answers to at least what happened. I mean, at this point, because other ministers, got cleared at the Senate. So I think that was the beginning of the whole issue, and he has refused to forgive the president. And to be fair to the president, though, since all this while he has not, they've kept him quiet. He has been throwing invectives at the president. But of recent, when he returned from Egypt, he featured in a television station where he said they bugged the phone line of the NSA, That borders on national security, and it's a cybercrime act. Under the Cybercrime Act, a big offense. And it's with the security, the other day, and before then, the state government has been saying they want him to come and ask some questions regarding misappropriation under his regime, under his administration as governor of the state. That was something they've packed, in a corner. That when he returned, we'll start with this. But because of wiretapping of the phone line of the NSA, so it's now like double, a double offense. I learned it was released yesterday by the EFCC, and the DSS picked him up immediately. Let's watch.
Okay, so let me ask you the same question I asked my guest on Monday. El-Rufai claimed to have said that he tapped the line.
He said somebody tapped, and they were able to.
And
some other people.
Some unidentified people.
Yes, some people tapped.
Okay, does that pose like a national threat for the nation?
It's a threat to the nation. If you interfere or bug my call as a private citizen, or even my chat, it's a big offense. It's a criminal act. And now we're not even talking about me. We're talking about the National Security Advisor. The man that has, the entrusted with the nation security architecture. He has all the information, the intel within his disposal. So hacking into a bugging his phone is a very serious criminal offense. If actually El-Rufai meant it, that's another, I feel, for me, I feel it's a careless talk though.
You think he didn't do that?
Yeah, I watched the interview and I think he got carried away. Yeah. So, but then he won't say because he got carried away, let him go. Because he's a big public figure. He was a former minister, a former two-time governor of Kaduna State. So he knows the implication of what it. Because I remember the interviewer asking him, "Do you know the implication of what you're saying?" He said they bug other people's phone. So what's the big? They bug people's phone. They mean. So what is wrong in tapping into it? So he admitted to it. I don't see anything wrong if they're not okay. Please come and tell us who are those people, because he didn't say he tapped into. He said some people, like maybe people he paid to do that, tapped into. So, of course, as a security agency, it's normal, because if you say, for instance, we are going to shoot a prominent member of the government. It's expected. People won't just say, no, just made a careless statement. No, bring him. And if they ask him questions, and at the end of the day, he admitted to it or deny, and they have evidences that it didn't happen, they will let him go.
Let me ask you
a
common man's question. I'm sure a common man will want to ask this question. Do you think El-Rufai has evidences that made him to, be so bold to come on national television to say what he said?
They know them. He's a very good friend to Nuhu Ribadu before now. They were quite close. That's why I'm surprised that he's hitting at Nuhu Ribadu all this while. I know has not even said it. Because I see let me not debate. Let me go straight to your question. He may have his reason. He may not be talking carelessly again, but again, coming on national TV. These are things I remember during the 2023 election. They bugged into a conversation between Peter Obi and Pastor Adeboye, and I mean this owner of Winners Chapel, and the opposition, the then APC during the election, used that as a campaign, instrument. They bugged into his, the conversation where he was saying something daddy and all that. So they've been doing it. I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he did it, but I think it's something they play with. They bug into people's lines. Of course, the security agencies, they play dirty during the most times they play dirty during the election, and working for the ruling party. Anything can happen. I'm not admitting the fact that he did it, but I think he has the capacity. They have information as a former governor. There are certain things they can do that we cannot sit down here and start, thinking it's not possible. It's highly, highly possible. But let the security agencies look at it.
Okay, let the security agencies look at it, because I think it is to take a problem address.
It's expected.
It's expected.
It's not a firing squad. Just go there. I said it. I was joking. There was nothing like that. I mean, it depends on.
That's if he says he was joking, Mr. Tony. That is an expensive joke, because
it's an expensive joke. And if he said he was joking, it's not left for the DSS to take it further from there. Like, you can't be joking with this. If it's a joke, you don't go on national. If you have said it within a private, environment, within the confines of your sitting room or bedroom, you can, but you went on national TV. It's like going on a mountain and you shouted, "I killed," I don't want to mention, So you must come, and it's not a joke. You know the implication.
It's not.
So let him go and.
Okay, let's come back to El-Rufai himself. Could you say this controversy will impact El-Rufai's political future at the national level? How will it impact it? Positively. He has a lot of followers, even with all this.
It won't impact anything. I think this is Nigeria now. Probably maybe we stay with TSS for a while. He will come out. Maybe we plead with the presidency or the president, and he'll be forgiven. We had cases like this in the past. We have a former governor of Kogi State. Just remove the phone bugging and all that. Other issues. He'll be forgiven. Once he comes out now and says, "I'm sorry, I want to declare for APC," he'll be forgiven. All this is, it borders on politics. If you had been with APC till now, whatever he says will be forgiven. I don't want him to go this extent. They will just call him. He's close to the president. All he needs to go, plea bargaining. There are a lot of things happen in Nigeria, and El-Rufai is not a small fry. He will be forgiven. He will be forgiven. It's not a serious. It's about in politics. It's not about permanent. It's not about permanent friend, but it's permanent interest.
Wow.
Once he says, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake," okay, he has access to the president, he'll be forgiven.
And do you
see people commit serious things in this country.
That is good for the nation?
It has not built the nation in any way. But I've said it, you know what I'm saying. It has happened over time. Majority of them are close to the president today. People he has forgiven who has committed sins. I don't want to mention a particular name they declared for a ministerial position. 2 of them. You've said things against the president as a person. He has forgiven them. So and then you talk to some APC people, they know once the president has forgiven them, you know. And the guy said he has recanted, I made a mistake. I've seen it from another angle. I think, you know, what I said before was a big mistake. That's why I said, if he pleads forgiveness, forgiveness of sin, it's easy for the president to say, let's go.
But he is in the opposition party right now.
That's what I said, if he goes back to them. He may be stubborn, he may have other plans. I mean, I know everybody is somebody, I've listened to a couple of his friends who will tell you he's a hard person to advise. So he may stand on that principle. He knows what he's, I want to believe he knows what he's doing. You know, he came back from Cairo, the drama at the airport, and then the next day he wrote to the EFCC that will be coming on Monday, and the drama and all that. You know, these are politicians. We shouldn't take them serious. I'm telling you. By next week or 2 weeks' time, you see he has aligned with them. They just want to bend him.
Okay, let's come down to his political party, the ADC. So during the week, the ADC said that the prosecution of El-Rufai by EFCC won't intimidate them.
No, I don't blame ADC to say that for saying that. I'm sure they are coming from the angle of Malami, the former Attorney General of the Federation. His declaration for governorship of Kebbi State, you know, and then suddenly he was a member of EFCC, APC before he left. All of them moving to ADC. And if you look at the trajectory, the direction the present administration is going, everybody must belong to the same party. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So the moment he declared under that party, you know, giving ADC that strength they do not want ADC to have. Because you have a Malami, for instance, in an ADC. You know what it means. He's bringing his, you know, his financial strength, you know, as a former powerful Attorney General under Buhari. So they know he's coming with a whole lot. So taking him out will weaken the machinery, the strength, the pillar of ADC. So they went for Malami. He's still busy in court. He's not even focused at the moment. He's not talking about his governorship ambition. Then El-Rufai to a former governor of Kaduna State and a serious critic of the present administration, especially the president, declaring for that same party. And then they remembered that, oh, we're going to probe. In fact, they were praying for that probe. That was until this football game issue came. You know, so taking him again and sitting on it, I remember the former vice president visited him, I think, on Tuesday, where he said that they're going to stand with him all through.
Atiku.
Yeah, Atiku, yeah. So for ADC, I know where they're coming from. Again, if you look at the direction the present administration is going, that everybody must be within APC, which is not possible. Let's be realistic. If other administrations have done so, there won't be an APC.
So you are in.
So I think ADC is correct. Yes, ADC is absolutely correct, because
this is which
if he was with them, if you they won't come for him.
If he had not
come for that anyway. They won't have come. They won't come for him. They won't come. If whatever he says, he will be forgiven. I don't want to mention. I've said there are many of them there in ADC, APC. Just come, you know, and it's not working for the nation.
So, but exactly, I was
it's not working for the nation.
Good for the nation.
It's not working for the nation, but that is what we have. That's the reality. Or the Adams Oshiomhole said it in time past. Those sins are forgiven once you come into the party. He has tried to deny it, but the records are there. And we are seeing it too. A lot of them have cases with EFCC. What has happened to them? So for him to say we bugged or phone tapping or whatever into the attorney NSA's phone, that he made a call for me to be arrested. They will see it as something flimsy.
But for me, for him to come to the national TV,
that was a big mistake he made.
Well, he was bold about it, and
that's why I said again, he may be standing on a certain principle. That's why I said, let the EFCC. I can assure you that between now and next week, because I know they may want to hold.
Do you think he has other things about the presidency he will want to reveal for him to be that bold?
He knows the implication of doing that. So that's why I said, let's see the direction this one goes. In terms of having, he knows the implication anyway. A lot of people, a lot of them, and that's why if you listen to him on that interview, when he was answering, he didn't say, I bugged into the NSA's phone. He ordered my arrest. He said, no, he said some people. So if he says some people, which means he knows them, I'm sure that's why they're not telling him, come, tell us those people. Because he made it clear. He didn't say, I bugged. So that's...
okay. So let's move on to your view. In your view, what would be the most responsible way forward for all political parties involved? When we say all political parties involved, of course, it's just ADC and APC. Because ADC is seeing it as witch hunting for their members, okay? But APC doesn't see it as witch hunting. So what, in your own view, what is the most responsible way forward for the parties involved?
Let us have a viable opposition. The president should allow it happen. And don't wait for people to declare for opposition party before they start dusting off their files. That's the way Nigerians sees it. And because Nigerians at the moment, majority of Nigerians have trust issues with the present administration. So any step you take, any step the present administration takes, they calculate the movement, the steps. Where are you heading to? You pick this man because he's here. If he was in A, you have picked him. Because he's in B, you picked him up. We have a lot of people who has committed similar offenses in Party A, but because they fraternizes with the president, it won't all go well for our democracy. Let opposition party, because you can't just go into the election and win it and come out victorious and be happy because you came out unopposed. You've defeated all the political parties, you've muzzled them, you've killed them. It will not help our democracy. So I would have preferred a situation whereby all the political parties come together, but do we have political parties, except from ADC? Labour Party would have played another role, but they're in conflict right now. Coming together as a political party, forming a formidable front, whatever they're going to do, protest against it. Leave us alone, let us breathe. You have 30 governors already in APC. Can you allow us to sit down and focus towards 2027 election? Because, as I said before, it will kill Nigerian democracy. That's why I say it. Because right now, it's democracy, but it's civil rule in another form. Because all the tenets of democracy are not applied. They are not practiced. You cherry pick the one that suits you and drop others. That's what we're doing. And no matter the angle you're looking at it, it's not helping. The only people who applaud this thing are people who are beneficiaries or party members. And they know it's not working.
Okay, so do you want to say that this will weaken the opposition party?
It's doing that already. But they're trying to weaken the opposition party. But I don't think it will at the end of the day. Because the more you're doing this, you're even emboldening them. It's like you can predict your next move. You become predictable. It's like they're waiting for your head. The only thing here is this, that an El-Rufai is not even contesting, for instance. If you had gone for Peter Obi or Atiku Abubakar, these are people who have declared interest, and I know he knows the implication of doing that. So, but then you can't weaken the pillar that carries that platform, which is, I think, what he's doing. But I think the point has come. We're getting to that point where we should let them know that enough is enough. Let this opposition thrive. You can't kill, like PDP is dead practically. You were the leading opposition party before. So all of them jumped from PDP to ADC. And why you see, like ADC started getting traction, you sent, a distraction. It won't work. Let the opposition party work. Stay with authority governors. You've done that. I mean, I don't even know why they're scared of e-voting or electronic transmission of results, because you have the governors. You feel they can do it for you. So I'm just confused.
I see how confused you are, Mr. Tony. It's a thing of Nigeria. But anyway, let's move on. Very recently, we had the attacks. I'm just going to deviate a little because it's a problem with this tapping of the telephone. We're looking at the insecurity in Nigeria, and now the NSA's telephone can be tapped. So who knows those that are tapping it? Who knows the terrorists that are tapping it? Now we heard that there's going to Adams, the Adams says, not Adams or Shomole now, Gani Adams.
Okay, Gani.
Gani Adams came up to say that there's been an alarm that Kwara is going to be attacked again. And he has sent out messages to the security agents in Nigeria to act immediately. Do you think they should work with his alert, or they should just overlook it?
They don't have any.
Because why I'm asking that question is it has to do with the security in Nigeria.
The borders in there.
Because if our NSA's phone can be easily tapped, then
Intels, the informations like this are very, very important. This is not the first time Gani Adams has issued advance warning to agencies like government. I remember the one that happened in Oyo some years back. It's not about the information or the warning, It's about the security agencies acting ahead, being proactive. You don't even need this. Work with a Gani Adams, for instance, be doing your job for you. You know how much is being voted every day, every year for defense and intelligence? What are they using it for? How can, for instance, the phone of the... Let's take, for instance, let's even assume, without conceding, that what El-Rufai said was true. How can the possibility of tapping into the NSA's phone, do you know what it means? That's a big security lapse. There are a lot of people who deserve to be quiet or sacked for that breach. But because it's Nigeria, that's what they should be looking at. If it actually happened, because there are ways you can actually track it and see if there are leakages or leaks somewhere on your line and all that. If it's easy to tap it. Let me just put that aside. On Gani Adams, we've had cases here, even in the north, where people give information ahead. Please avoid chief community leaders, emirs, they give information to police, security, military. So we have information that these guys are going to come in 2 weeks. Please prepare for them. And the day they will come, it's a fact. The day they come. You see, every other place they give them freeway.
Why is that so?
During the Chibok, it happened. The reports are there. They are in public places. Public.
So do we say we have terrorists inside?
They've infiltrated, of course. They've infiltrated. Except we don't want to admit it. If not for Trump that suddenly said, okay, I think it's enough. Let me even see how I can help these people. And quick, they kicked against initially. They were cozy with it. They were not bothered. Information comes ahead. People give them warning. Because most times when they come, they will tell you we're going to come so day.
And they do come.
They do come. And they will still carry out the act. And they disappear into thin air. So Gani Adams, just watch. He just give another warning. It will happen. I don't know, maybe we don't have enough men. I don't understand. You stand down when this kind of thing happened. Then you went after them after. Why not take I've said it many times. The only way to win this war is that we take this war to them. Don't wait for them to attack you first. Take it to them. When we keep waiting, they attack, we react, and then we go and beg them to release. It turns into a business. You fund them. Most times you say, oh, they retrieve these children. So what about the attackers? Where are they? We've never seen any of them. How can you take, let's say for instance, a small figure of like 100, you take them out of circulation in Nigeria, within our country, and they stay there for months, and you negotiate with them and pay them. They come out. You parade the children, show uniform for them. So where are the attackers? Where are the abductors? So it's going to happen. Ghani has done it. He has done it before. He has lamented many times. I'm still surprised he's even still getting. And he has told them many times, let my people, OPC, help. I don't know why the government is finding it very hard. The military, they are putting in the best.
But he did help during the Jonathan regime. Again, dynamics, political and all that. So, but he wants to help now. You don't say, no, the soldiers can do it alone. Seek help, if possible. Seek help, if possible. Okay, let's quickly go to this question, just quickly. Should Nigerians be more concerned about our national security stability as at this moment with the tapping of the telephone by El-Rufai?
We shouldn't, we say again before, I've said it, that whatever is happening now, it's all about politics. We should not get too involved because the actors in question okay. So the actors in question, they know themselves and they know what they're doing. Let's watch the direction it goes at the end of the day. May God help this country.
May God help this country, Mr. Tony, and that's our prayer, everybody's prayer in this country. We are praying that God helps us, especially with the case of the insecurity. The elections are coming very close, and we hope that our votes count. Thank you, Mr. Tony,
thank you so much. Thank you.
And to our viewers out there, thank you for watching. I'm Patricia Uremu Gabriels.
Top of the morning to you, and thanks for joining us on ITV News for this time. I am Harry Igboje. Christians across Nigeria have joined millions around the world to observe Ash Wednesday, marking the beginning of the 40-day Lenten season, leading to Easter. Ofure Neto has details.
Ash Wednesday is observed by Catholics and Anglicans nationwide. It signals the start of Lent, a sacred period dedicated to repentance, reconciliation, and a renewed commitment to God. In Abuja, worshippers gathered in large numbers at various Catholic churches for the solemn service. The Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Ignatius Ayau Kagama, urged the faithful to reflect the virtues of Jesus Christ in their daily lives.
What is our relationship with our God and with our neighbors? And we are promising with the application of ashes on our foreheads that we will relate with God in the spirit of humility and conversion.
In Lagos, it was a similar scene as parishioners converged on Catholic churches across the state to observe the spiritual exercise.
For us to reflect heavily about life, even the world is very complex and ever-changing.
We are called to understand that this body that we have right now shall return to dust, whether we like it or not.
In Benin City, the Edo State capital, churches were equally filled with worshippers. During Mass at St. Gabriel the Archangel Catholic Church, Assistant Parish Priest Reverend Father Philip Oaihena called on Christians to embrace the Lenten season with sincerity and total commitment. He urged the faithful to shun sin, forgive one another, and strengthen their spiritual lives through prayer, fasting, and almsgiving.
Ash Wednesday that we celebrate brings to our consciousness with the words when we are signed with the ashes. Either the person uses the word, the minister uses the word, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Reminding us of our faith that we are all on the journey.
Shortly after the homily, ashes were placed on the foreheads of worshippers, a symbol of unity, repentance, and a reminder of human mortality.
Ash Wednesday, for its part, is a day where we fast, pray, and are called to almsgiving.
It's a sign for us to be humble, for humility, and to know that there is nothing in this world.
This period of praise is a period of reflection, to meditate, to repent of our sinfulness.
In Warri, Catholics also attended Ash Wednesday Mass in large numbers. Some parishioners described the day as a significant spiritual exercise that encourages repentance and faithfulness.
Ash Wednesday is the time of spiritual renewal, of humility and repentance. It is a day that kickstarts our Lenten season, which is 40 days of fasting, drawing closer to Jesus Christ. It's a time for us to move closer unto God.
One day, that as beautiful as we are, as rich as we are, that we are going to be dust. And once we be like dust, which is out of Adam we all came out, and we are dust. And the dust we came from, and the dust we shall return also.
From Benin, Ofuri, and Neta, ITV News.
And Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebholo has inspected progress of work at Ekiwa Ute Temboga Road, linking Upper Mission to University of Benin and the environs, describing the visible infrastructure landmark infrastructure as one of the signature projects of his administration to appreciate President Bola Tinubu promised 2.5 million votes from Edo State Government House. Correspondent Kingsley Uchebu has details.
Less than 1 year after conceptualizing and flagging off construction of Temboga, Ekiwa Ute Road, which connects Upper Mission Extension to the University of Benin and other communities in Ubowo, a local government area, Governor Okpebholo and his entourage were taken around the project site by the site engineer of Heartland Construction Company, Ugochukwu Obu, who briefed him on the progress of work. The area, once ravaged by gully erosion, beyond wearing a new look, is witnessing an influx of residents who earlier abandoned their homes owing to the devastating gully erosion. Some residents, who include the Aguma Basa, His Royal Highness Bako Ebredelu Dogwo, Elizabeth Okundaye, and Mustafa Mohammed, described Governor Okpebholo's intervention as one of a promise made and fulfilled within the shortest time.
Everywhere have taken shape. People are packing back again now. People saw their houses here. Okpebholo have come to wipe away the tears of the people.
Ghana, God will bless Okpebholo for us. Now another party are there. The full community said now Okpebholo na get our vote.
You know, see all those women, everybody happy
for this road, how they do it.
Many people don't sell and many people they plan to come up before. They pray say God go do one day. Really, God can't do. I can't use our good governor.
Governor Okpebholo is confident that the gains of the road, which is in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, will enhance the livelihood of residents and restore hope to the residents who were previously sacked by devastating gully erosion.
The renewed hope of Mr. President, truly speaking, is manifesting here, and that is it. Seeing it the way it is giving me joy, and above all, the people are happy. You can see the joy in the faces of people. It's what we are saying, and anytime, anywhere, our 2.5 million vote is guaranteed.
In a related development, Governor Monday Okpebholo says plans has been concluded for formal presentation of 54 units of construction equipment to the 18 local government councils in Edo State. From Benin, Kingsley Uchebu, ITV News.
And moving on, Edo State government says it's committed to giving support to children with special needs. The state deputy governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, stated this when he granted audience to a delegation of the Nigeria Association of Special Education Teachers, NASET, in Government House, Benin City. Deborah Ogbefun reports that the leadership of the Nigerian Youth Council also paid advocacy visit to the deputy governor.
The delegation of the Nigerian Association of Special Education Teachers, led by the state chairman Isaac Azuka, was in Government House to seek the intervention of the state government over some pressing issues concerning children with special needs in Edo State.
Private bosses will also aid them to access this school. Then secondly is hostel accommodation.
In his response, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa said Governor Monday Okpebholo's administration is committed to the education of all Edo children, including children with disabilities.
Taking some of the notes for my principal, the executive governor. So some of these requests will be handed over to him and we will discuss it. And some of these requests, by the grace of God, will be granted by the executive governor.
Another group under the aegis of the Nigerian Youth Council, saddled with the responsibility of coordinating the affairs, mobilization and empowerment of the Nigerian youths, led by the state chairman, Comrade Wisdom Osaro, during a visit, eulogized the Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, as youth-friendly Deputy Governor, and solicited for government's collaboration in the upcoming NYSC sensitization and advocacy for the eradication of drug abuse and courtism.
We are really interested in mobilizing youths to support government policies, empowering youths also to ensure that these youths are not just relevant to themselves, but to their immediate family, to their community, and to the nation at large.
Responding, the Deputy Governor commended them for their selfless service to youths and assured the group of support.
The sensitization you are about to embark on, I think is very strategic. You are starting it from Ovia Federal Constituency. It consists of Ovia North and Ovia Southwest. Knowing that that is my home, I think I'm going to, not just to support, I'll be part of it.
In Government House, Benin, Deborah Ogbefun, ITV News.
The Chairman, Advisory Board of Independent Television and Radio and former Executive Governor of Edo State, His Excellency, Chief Dr. Lucky Igbenedion, has reaffirmed the station's quest in improving its visibility and marketability through digital broadcasting. ITV's Dominica Yemesi reports that Chief Igbenedion stated this Wednesday while declaring open the 2026 Advisory Board of Directors meeting in Abuja.
The Independent Television and Radio Advisory Board, under the able chairmanship of His Excellency, the former governor of Edo State, Chief Dr. Lucky Igbenedion, is saddled with the responsibility of advancing the goals, value, and vision of the station through expert guidance to help management make more informed decisions and take developmental steps. In his welcome remarks, Chairman of the board, Chief Dr. Lucky Igbenedion, appreciated the commitment and sacrifice of members towards the upliftment of independent television and radio.
I appreciate your sacrifice and your contribution towards the upliftment of independent television and radio. I want to appreciate your continuous
ITV, certainly the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing on the stage is the total cultural presence tonight. On the other side, we have the Gymnastic boys. Gymnastic boys, we don't know what we want to do now. We are bringing upstairs. We are at the first floor. We don't know what we are going to do in the second floor.
Away from that, if we can, okay, interesting. This user wrote, a powerful moment of humility from Bola Tinubu. Leadership is not just about authority, it's about accountability, reflection, and the courage to seek forgiveness. Calling for unity, peace, and moral renewal during Ramadan shows the importance of healing and moving forward together as one nation. Another user wrote, Baba, you are forgiven. Carry go. Don't be distracted in your vision for Nigeria. Do more to drastically eliminate insecurity, stimulate the economy, and protect the vulnerable amongst us. It's well with you. Nigerian has forgiven you already. Now, away from that, moving over to my second trending gist for today. So despite conversation as regards destroying the Naira and mishandling the Naira, despite ongoing campaigns against it, the age-old practice of money spraying resurfaced during President Bola Tinubu's visit to Adamawa State, highlighting the enduring culture of flaunting cash at social events. Now, the incident actually occurred while famous Hausa musician Dauda Rarara performed his latest hit, Omo Logo, in honor of the president during the visit. Let's take a look. In case you didn't get the video, you know it's against the law to spray Naira, and interestingly this happened in front of the president. So a lot of Nigerians are calling out on the EFCC to arrest those women, while those say she was actually stopped from continuing with the spraying of the Naira note. But how did you take this online? Let's have tweets and reactions. We'll start off with this one, who wrote on X. Let's have our first reactions if we can. This one wrote, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, hope the eagle was not blind here. Good question. Another user wrote, I don't have anything against Tinubu. I just want you to make things easier for Nigerians. Okay, so I'm not sure this has anything to do with this story. Let's move over to another reaction still on this one. This user wrote, Olariwaju, we can never do away with spraying of notes. It's in our blood. Tell me about it. Now, finally, on the story, this user reacting to it said online, she was immediately cautioned. Meanwhile, the Naira wasn't stepped on in the video. Now, away from that, in a video that has now gone viral, an Australian author based in the US, Mark Poland, has criticized security procedures in Nigeria, describing them as excessive and bordering on extortion. Now, Poland recounted his experiences traveling through Nigerian airports and roads, claiming that he was repeatedly asked for cash while passing through checkpoints. He also questioned the nature of many security checkpoints along Nigerian roads, asking whether they were truly for security or extortion. Let's take a listen.
Nigerian friends, is your entire country set up to shake people down? Because coming in and out of the airports there, I was told, now you give me cash at least 10 times. A lot of the roads have security checkpoints, but are they security checkpoints or shakedown checkpoints? Even going into my hotel, people weren't just looking me up and down to see if I was carrying anything dangerous. They were looking me up and down to see if there's anything that they could ask me for. Am I overreacting? Because this must stress you out.
So I honestly think it hampers on the culture, the begging culture we have in Nigeria. And tell you what, a lot of persons online from South Africa, Ghana, and other parts of African countries are now calling Nigerians Afghanistan. Whatever that means, I don't know. But how did you take this on the line? Let's start off with interesting reactions to this story. This one wrote, you are not overreacting. The begging culture is one of the biggest turnoffs. Every time I have to come to Nigeria, I am literally frustrated by it. Another user reacting on Instagram, this one says, moving over to another tweet, this one wrote, begging is deeply rooted in poverty. We have become a country where salaries aren't enough to cover basic human needs, and unfortunately, they will need to cover the cost of their needs and wants with extra transfer funds from Alicia's side of begging. Nothing matters now but money, and that is what corruption does. Now, finally on the story, this user reacting to this one says, welcome to Abegistan. Oh my goodness, we need to change this name real quickly. But moving away from that, let's talk about Kwara United. Now, Kwara United have publicly condemned the violence that followed their rescheduled Nigeria Premier Football League encounter against Rivers United, distancing the club from the actions of what they described as irrational element among their crowd. Now let's have a feel of how it went like over the match. And trust football lovers online to react to this. Let's see what you have been saying. Now we'll start off with this one who wrote online. If we could have our first tweet, a lot of persons are calling for sanctions from both leagues. This one said they should just cancel the barbaric league. Away team and your fans aren't always safe. Home team hardly accept defeat. If there won't be maximum security support from away team, staff and your supporters, then they should put the whole league on hold. It's always like this all the time. Another user also reacting on X, this one wrote, they should face the consequences. Point deduction and heavy fines should be placed on them. Now, finally, this user wrote on the story, if we could have our final reaction. In 2026, when did Kwara turn to such violent state? It's usually known for so much peace, and all of a sudden there is violence everywhere. Now, if we could have our final video, just a video to wrap up TMI socials. Remember that period when El Rufai and the president were digging it down? Let's have a feel of that as we get to wind up. A clear case of things never end, and in politics there's always no permanent friends or permanent enemies, and this should be your mood for the weekend. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens, and from all of us on This Morning on ITV, Lagos, Abuja, and right here in Edo State, we'll see you next week.